Hi, everybody. Welcome today to the July meeting for the Washington Gleaning Network. We've got Allison from Careit here to talk about their work. They have a really interesting food systems, food recovery ecosystem kind of platform that she's going to share a bit more about today. And I'm really excited you all are here for it. And I'm excited to hear more about what Allison has to say. So I'll go ahead and introduce her. Go ahead, Allison.
Hey everyone, I'm Allison. I am the CEO and co-founder of the Carrot food donation Square platform. And I live in Olympia, Washington, from Chelan County. But I'm happy to be getting more involved in the state of Washington now with Carrot and what we've been doing for the last few years. Um, so if you haven't heard of Carrot, it's just a software company. It's not a food rescue organization. We are a corporation that does not want to compete for grants or for resources or anything like that with nonprofits. What we try to do is boost up nonprofits with a software platform that will save them time and money and get them connected to more businesses that have food. Also, we've created an ecosystem of software solutions that will put the stakeholders of businesses, corporations, universities, nonprofits that do work between nonprofits and businesses, and also municipalities, government agencies to come together on one platform and have the tools necessary to streamline everything that you need for a successful food recovery program regionally. Um, and I'll just go ahead and share a little bit of what we do here. So if you haven't already, check out our website. It has a lot more information about what Carrot does. Um, it has information about the types of businesses that we're working with. It also has information about what Carrot does, the different software technology platforms that we have for different stakeholders. You can read more there. And I'd also like to give you a quick tour right now. So, as a 501(c)(3) nonprofit organization, you can create a free profile on Carrot just by visiting carrot.com. And up at the top here, you can actually see there's a Get Started button. This is going to log me in, but when you click on that, usually it has the option to rescue food. You'll choose that. You'll say you're a nonprofit and fill out your information. At that point in time, you'll be taken to this dashboard where you can see all of the different types of foods that you've rescued. This is the demo dashboard, but through filtering, you can see food that you've rescued on Carrot or food that you've plugged into Carrot if you're on one of our Food Mover accounts. That calculates automatically your GHG emissions, your water footprint reduction. It'll remind you of any donations that you need to complete by adding in the weights. It also allows you to find available donations posted near you. So this is what we're going to be building out over the next couple of years with some really strategic partners. Both corporations and our government agencies will be able to start visiting businesses that have surplus food. And we also work with corporations on a national scale to post when they have items available. Now, this could be anything like groceries, it could be prepared foods, and it'll usually have a photo of the food that they're donating with some information. We use AI optionally for donors to be able to say what food they have, just to save them time and be a little bit usually more accurate. And we're also soon launching a feature where you can actually use photos to record the food that you've picked up as a nonprofit and then have AI fill out the details for you there as well. We are specifically going to be trying to work with cities and counties in the state of Washington to encourage their compliance with businesses for I think it's the BOMA business. Oh gosh, I can't remember this acronym, but there's um, some new mandatory organics diversion laws in the state that some of it should quarter of it should be donated instead of just straight up composted. So we're really pushing for our government agencies to work on that. It's a lot less expensive for both the cities and counties, but it's also less expensive for businesses to donate food that is still edible rather than put it straight into either the compost bin or even the landfill. So, when a donation is posted, any local nonprofit organization that is within a 50-mile radius, or the nonprofit could actually adjust that radius if they want it to be smaller, will get a notification instantly when a donation is posted in their area on the Careit mobile app. And then every hour, we'll send a notification via email saying the food donations that were posted near them. Those donations then can be found on the Find Donation screen. You can either view this as a map or as a table. You can filter for it. So if you've got specific types of foods that you rescue, like if you only rescue produce, it'll only show you donations that contain produce. And you can also adjust your distance here. You can adjust your pickup days to match what the pickup days are that are posted. And then if there's a donation that you like, you'll be able to open that, see the information about it, and then claim it. Now, here you're going to be prompted to add a driver. This is where you can add different team members. So if you've got volunteers or staff will be able to be assigned when you have a donation that you want them to pick up, you can assign them here. And then you can also assign vehicles if you want to check your vehicles out, and that's for the food mover account. So once you have a donation that is reserved, you'll be able to start chatting with the donors and ask information or tell them when you're going to arrive. You'll also see that their contact information will be listed. You can give them a call. And you'll also be able to, if you need to reassign a rescue to another driver got sick, flat tire, you can do that. Otherwise, you can click begin to let the donor know that you're on your way. And then when you're finished with the donation, you can update the weights. If there's weights already entered from the AI, you can accept that. Or if you picked up more or less, or oftentimes what sometimes can happen is some of it was actually had to be composted. You could enter that in there and change the weights for them here. This gives them a more accurate description of what it is that they've donated and can write off. And it also helps them know that they're doing a little bit of donation dumping, which we don't want them to do. You can add notes, completion images, rating as well, and then you can complete this rescue. So I highly encourage all of you right now to go on and make an account on Careit for free so that when we have farmers and other warehouses and businesses that are not yet donating or needing to expand their donation program, that there's somebody in your area that's ready to get that donation right away. You can encourage anybody that is a food rescue organization or halfway houses, after school programs for kids, any registered 501c3 that would take food that is either, like I said, prepared or whole produce and wholesale, or even sometimes groceries. We've got some grocery store participants as well. And then if you have more questions about the other accounts that we have that are the subscription-based ones, like this is a food mover account we're looking at where a nonprofit can basically schedule out all of their runs, all of the food that they're rescuing, manage all of their volunteers, have a training program set up for them, um, and their vehicles, and then post donations on behalf of all of their donors to be able to create the reports that they need automatically. And have everything they need for grant writing and stuff. Just ask me. We can also work through that with you too. So that's basically it. I went really fast, but it's being recorded, so hopefully you can slow it down on the speed. Um, and then, oh, one more thing is that any business can also download Careit and start posting donations on it automatically. But we do want to make sure we have nonprofits first, and we'll be able to receive those donations before we start recruiting the businesses.
That was amazing. Thank you so much for sharing with us, Allison. I feel like I have like a million questions. I wanted to go ahead. If anyone else has any questions, feel free to drop it in the chat or unmute and um, put it out there. But I wanted to ask, it really looks like there's so much potential for gleaners to use this program within, Washington State, within areas, definitely throughout the country. So I was curious about if you have some knowledge about how gleaners have been using this, even if it's not like within Washington State, and how you think that we could use it maybe better that we aren't using it.
Yeah. So I used to work for a Southern California gleaning organization as the volunteer manager, and part of the way we built Carrot was inspired by my experience there. We have built out tools for volunteer management, and for driver management and vehicle management so that you know your schedule of where you're going to pick up stuff. So that would be kind of more that food mover account that I was demonstrating. And another thing is that gleaning organizations that are when we're working in an area where we have a contract with a city, a municipality, a county, something like that. um, we will encourage them to onboard all of their farmers and warehousers and other people that might have larger quantities, especially of like produce. So we'll see a lot of that come through. And at that point in time, we really need gleaners that have the logistics to go pick that up with the trucks and the cold storage, and then the ability to redistribute that back out into the community in a meaningful way. And they can do that all through the app. So that's mostly how we can work with gleaners. Another thing is just that because of the way that we've built out these different systems for collaboration between stakeholders, we're building more partnerships that we would like to include more gleaners to be a part of that conversation on a regional level. We're talking, for example, with the County of Spokane. They're interested in doing a program where they're encouraging their businesses to use Carrot so that they can track it on the back end and have all of the information and data they need to measure success and measure the amount of food waste that didn't go to landfill because of the program. But we'll need gleaners to be a big part of the push for getting those larger donors that have more quantity of food to participate in that. And then, like, I just got word from one of our major our our corporate grocery stores. They have warehouses where they said oftentimes they'll have whole loads that are rejected, or sometimes, like one time they had a bunch of pumpkins after Halloween, right? And they called us to get like 20 pallets of pumpkins redistributed in Florida. They'll sometimes have, like, there'll be a little bit of aphids, but like I pick food with aphids, you just wash it off, right? And sometimes there's a cleaning organization that's willing to do that. So just it's all about like putting the network together of the nutrient economy, including animal farmers that would like to take that aphid laden leaf and feed it to their chickens, right? Um, it's about getting the right people together so that when the information is distributed, it's almost like dating profiles, right? You're like, hey, I have this and I want this, and we do the matchmaking, and then all the data is held together.
Amazing. Thank you for the answer. I love that you framed it as like matchmaking, and it really brings in such a wonderful connection within the community, like the community talking to itself instead of like one person going from A to B. And I really love that that potential there. And I think that um, I would actually ask also, and again, feel free if anyone has any questions. If I'm talking over anyone, raise your hand or drop it in the chat. But I also want to ask a little bit. You mentioned measuring success. So one of the often requirements for gleaners is to measure success, right? For any program, we have to measure success, and there's definitely some sort of controversy about how success is measured. But I'm just really curious about how that tends to happen with Carrot as far as through donations and kind of edging towards how gleaners can kind of use it to measure their success in their organizations.
Yeah, well, because we have so many different data points that are collected along the way, volunteer hours are tracked. We've got the number of nonprofit partners that are distributed to in a given time, the number of donors and the regions that they're in. Also, of course, the weights and then the different categories of food as that goes. We calculate the weights into obviously number of meals served, which is inaccurate, 1.2 pounds, but we're all going to accept that for now. But then also the GHG emissions and the water footprint reduction avoided. Those are all metrics that people are looking for. You can look at, the fluctuations and cycles in during a season. That's all data points that is captured on Carrot. And miles driven, you can probably calculate that as well. There's many different ways to calculate success. When I'm doing a regional program with a jurisdiction like a county or something, we'll not only tell them like how many newly recruited businesses we were able to onboard, but also how many donations that they made, how many new partners that they made, and then obviously the pounds of food that were redistributed. So there's different ways that you can and we do measure success.
Amazing. Thank you. Sorry, there's a bit of house noise. Um, yeah, no, thank you so much for that. I think that's so helpful. I definitely have a lot of curiosity from folks asking about how to sort of measure everything in one place. It's definitely not impossible to write down in a notebook like how many miles you drove, how many pounds, but keeping everything in one place in a way that is like shareable and creates a bit of efficiency when it comes to
Automated,
operations.
right?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. I think that's really huge, huge. Um, yeah, and I think one of the really interesting ones that I'm particularly interested in as far as metrics goes is the kind of volunteer measurement piece. So can you speak a little bit more about how the volunteers are sort of measured or tracked in your program?
Yeah. So when you log a food run on Carrot, you actually set up your estimated hours that that food run will take ahead of time. We also have the ability to timestamp if the volunteer is using the app correctly and pressing buttons as they go, we can timestamp every time they click one of the buttons, which then is like a more accurate representation of, when did they leave the house. We're doing a little bit of back end. Location tracking, but we haven't made that public yet just because nobody's asked us to. And we know that there's a lot of tinfoil hat people out there that don't want don't want to be tracked by an app of where they're going. But that is a possibility that we can do as well is to track location to make sure that people are actually showing up when they say they're showing up and then dropping it off to the place that they said that they were going to drop it off to. But currently we're doing it a little bit more on a trust basis where you'll enter the hours that you're going to have, and then the number of gleans that a volunteer does, the pounds that they've ultimately gleaned, that's all tracked in their dashboard as well.
Amazing. This sounds like such a cool program. I'm so excited to continue promoting this and get some feedback on it as well from folks. And speaking of feedback, one other quick question I have, and again, feel free if anyone wants to ask questions. But also, I'm curious, I guess, kind of stepping back a little bit, what kind of Washington Gleaning Network and gleaners in Washington State can kind of do to help promote this work in a way, because it feels like to me this is a very community kind of oriented thing. It's not just like one person at the top pointing and saying, you do this. It's all of us working together for the greater good. And I'm just very curious about your thoughts on that.
Well, every time we get someone who sends us a message saying, do you need help spreading the word of Carrot? I say, yes. I have a very small team. We are specifically able to focus our time and growth in areas where we have contracts. So the areas where we don't yet have contracts, we don't have the ability to put a lot of time into that. But what we do have is this free platform that anyone can use. So what we do is somebody says, I want to bring it into my area. We'll send them to the website where you can get all the literature. We've got downloadable flyers for donors, downloadable flyers for nonprofits, and then like guides for successful food donations for donors too. We're bringing more resources into creating how-to training videos for all of the different stakeholders as well. That will be on our website and our YouTube page and our social media as well. So you can be an ambassador in your own community and just use the free version of Carrot to, you have to find the nonprofits, obviously, but then you also find the donors, get everybody on board, get them trained, and then get them starting to use the app for free. That's all I can offer. Sorry. We're
And
not
that's
we're
it's
not a
really
we're not
helpful.
a nonprofit, so we can't get the grants to like go forth and just spread that free aspect of Carrot
Sure.
until we're able to, contract with somebody like the state or a county.
Got it. No, that makes sense. And I think it's just so wonderful of an opportunity to get a chance to use this in our work as gleaners and to kind of learn about how we do things and learn about what in what ways that this program can become kind of a it sounds like a lot of like one-stop shop kind of thing for gleaners. And I think that yeah, getting a chance to work through it is such a wonderful opportunity for free, like you said, amazing. And I love that it helps us all to kind of grow together as well as a system. So yeah, that was all of the big questions that I had. Does anyone else have any questions? I know I've been talking over everybody. And feel free to drop in the chat or unmute or raise your hand, whatever you'd like to do. Yeah, and I want to thank you so much, Allison, for being. Oh, hi, Jordan, you popped in. Did you have something you wanted to add?
I had a quick question just out of curiosity, because it seems like Carrot is such, like you said, a one-stop shop platform. I was curious if there was any thing that you think like it's not able to do, or any organizations you think, or businesses who you think like it wouldn't be a good fit for.
So
Or is it really all inclusive?
the really cool thing that we're able to do is if there are enough people who say, "Hey, I want it to do this thing," we're able to build very quickly. So, for example, one of the things that we're doing right now that I didn't mention is we just built out a marketplace where you can actually sell liquidated food in the state of Washington or the state of California only. We haven't actually officially launched it yet, so we're kind of waiting for partners that previously said they wanted us to build it to actually step forth and start to make that program work. But that was just due to a conversation where somebody said, "Hey, I want it to do this thing." The one thing with gleaning that I know that I would probably want it to do that it doesn't yet do, but is easy to implement, is if you have a glean where you need 30 people to sign up, right? And you want
Mhm.
them to sign up on Carrot on their own accord without you having to do any of the back end recruitment. We don't have that yet. We only have the ability for one person to claim a donation now. However, in the meantime, you can assign multiple drivers. So while we build that function out, if somebody wanted us to build it for them, you can go through on your back end in the way that you do now to recruit, then assign them all manually through Carrot and say, these 30 people are the gleaners for this upcoming glean that we have. Here's where
Mhm.
it picks up. Here's the instructions. Here's where it drops off. Here are the instructions for dropping it off, and then have them kind of fill in the details there. So, like, it doesn't do that yet. And I know it needs to do that for gleaners specifically because I've been there and I've done that, but it's something that we could build.
That's really cool. So with that, are you saying that you like envision with this platform also building like a volunteer base that could like step in for gleaning organizations, kind of?
So I have, having been a volunteer manager and recruiter myself, I don't have confidence in Carrot's ability to recruit volunteers for everyone else's community.
That
I
makes sense.
have, yeah, I have the tools that you can use to make it a smoother transition to both recruit them, like a link that you can embed that they enter their name and email address, and boom, they're in your Carrot system, right? And we also have these mandatory or non-mandatory automated uh, training protocols that you
Hmm.
create, you customize for yourself. You also have the ability to require that they upload their license and their car insurance and sign a waiver and all different kinds of things that will automate things for you for your volunteer management. But as far as the recruitment goes, I don't live where you live. I don't know who to call where you are. I can only give you the tools because you're the expert in your community.
That makes a lot of sense. It seems like a super convenient platform to do all of the things you listed.
Yeah. Another cool thing that we just built because another nonprofit organization in Pennsylvania asked us to um, is drop-offs. Okay. So I think if anyone's doing like a CSA, we just built the tracking system for doing drop-offs at people's houses where you can create meal kits or CSA boxes and have them like sorted out of what should be in what box or what should be in what meal, create households, create individuals in the households that you assign different meals or boxes to, and then have your volunteers and drivers then have their route that's planned where they go drop off for the day. So like that's just an example of what we can easily build over, a shorter period of time if there's somebody who really wants it to be built, who had like the funding to then be able to carry on a subscription like that with us so that we can continue to provide those resources and support.
That's really amazing. And I think I kind of anticipate there might be a question about, or some folks might have a question about like training for like if their organization were to sign on to this platform, and get the, say, like the free, version of the account and, start to use the platform and realize that they want to like really use it and fund it more and kind of upgrade, then what kind of like training is there sort of for, or are you in the process of building for helping build things like that out? Like, maybe not that specifically, because that sounds like it's an in-process program, but things like knowing what volunteer partners and donors and things that you want to be able to keep track of in your organization might be different than some folks. So there might be like specific parameters. So is there kind of like an onboarding process where you guys
Mhm.
sort of do that? And can you kind of talk through how that works?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still a little old-fashioned in that I feel like we see better results of people using the software when we do one-on-one training because people are still people and we like learning from people. We are building more, automated stuff. We have videos and guidelines that we have for people that don't want to have a one-on-one conversation with us for whatever reason. Um, and then we'll probably we have a walkthrough that we created for different account types too, so that the first time you sign on the Careit, you'll be guided through the different screens and buttons to push for this and that. So there's many layers of onboarding, and then for onboarding your volunteers, training for your volunteers. We also have again those guide walkthroughs that you have when you download the app. We've got videos, we've got PDFs that you can send, and then we usually train your team to do like workshops to onboard people all at once. And then a lot of our food movers, they'll also just kind of offer for groups of people or sometimes for individuals to give them the one-on-one training that they need to. We can't do one-on-one training with all the volunteers, but we do the one-on-one training with the administrators and the staff of your organization to learn how to do that.
Sure. Kind of a train the trainer kind of model, which is
Yeah.
amazing. That's so wonderful. It's so good to know that that's there, because there's definitely been other software platforms I've tried to use and have been like, I don't understand this, and I wish somebody could just train me. But they're like, pay us $5,000, $10,000, and we'll train you. And it's like, ah. Um, so yeah,
Yeah.
understanding that I love that there's, like you said, kind of like layers there, because I think that allows people to like be able to get the training that they need that fits their organization and not have to do like everything. So wonderful. Sounds like a wonderfully way it's set up. So really appreciate that.
And
Um,
we hire customer service agents who are used to talking to people who are not computer literate at all. I have so many regular callers that get lost again and again on the same thing. We don't get annoyed. We're very patient through all of it. We really want to just make sure that people are successful in using it.
Amazing, which has so much value. I know, like, I am always not as we know from having to reschedule this meeting, but I think that it's such an important and maybe kind of overlooked demographic these days, and so that's
Yeah.
so appreciated.
Yep. Yeah, we've
Well,
got like an 87-year-old woman who still like texts us for help.
that's
So,
amazing. Amazing. Yeah, and I think that this isn't the case for everyone, but I know that there are a lot of folks that I've talked to who work with, for example, farmers or other partners who are very not into technology and like are just like, can you just give me a phone call or can we have an in-person conversation? And nothing wrong with that, but it's wonderful that there is that is catered to and made aware of, like in this day and age as well. So,
yeah, I think the hardest thing that we run into with people is them forgetting their password. Honestly,
oh
that's
my
that's
God,
the
don't even
one.
get me started on passwords. I can't with the passwords. Well, amazing. I, I think that and again, if anyone else has any other thoughts or anything, I don't want to like just keep you guys for ages if we don't have any more questions, and respect all of your time and stuff. Um, And I'll definitely send out this recording along with all the materials mentioned, links to the website and so on. And yeah, I just so appreciate you coming and chatting with us, Allison. Just Wonderful. Thank you so much. And thank you for your
Yeah,
openness and your flexibility as well.
thank you, Sarah. And just as a plug, we found Sarah because we had a donation in Yelm, Washington, of some produce that needed to be gleaned. So we were calling, and if we can get everybody signed up first, even if it just sits for like months without you hearing from us, it just saves everyone so much time to get the food moved quickly when it is there. So please do go and sign up as soon as you can.
Well said. Thank you. Awesome. Well, great, guys. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for coming. And
You
we'll
too.
see you at the next one.
All right.
Bye bye.